7:37 p.m. We're going to call the meeting to order. First, we're going to start with our Utilities Commission meeting. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the Utilities Commission meeting of July 21st, 2014.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that we unanimously approve the minutes. Cash on hand and in the banks for the Utilities Commission, the total cash on hand is $989,926.11. Also in our capital funds for water and sewer hookup, we have $151,400. Our next order of business is the payment of bills for the Utilities Commission.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show we unanimously approve to pay the bills. The next order of business is Bob Sipes' report. He is running late. He assures us he will be here soon. Whenever he gets here, we'll pop him back into the agenda, which brings us to questions or comments for the Utilities Commission.
I have a question, but I think it's for Mr. Sipes.
That's probably true.
I wanted to know who is responsible for flushing fire hydrants.
Bob Sipes.
Okay, so I'll ask Mr. Sipes when he gets here.
Okay.
And for painting hydrants and the other questions that can come along with that.
Okay, so until Bob gets here, we're just going to keep rifling through this agenda, which brings us to the Mayor and Council meeting. First order of business for the Mayor and Council meeting is to approve the minutes of our meeting of August 4th, 2014.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Comments? Comments and corrections?
Sure.
Somehow, between the two last paragraphs of the second page, I transitioned from Mr. to Ms. Gross.
Oh, sorry.
That was one. On page 3, the resolution to widen the pathway at the High Street side of Fountain Park. My statement or condition of voting for that was conditional on Mr. Ingersoll's commitment to look into pervious brick surfaces for that. That's not recorded.
So what's the wording of the motion? I thought
There's no mention of any of the materials. It just says that improve to increase the brick walkway, laying the bricks in a, oh, you're right, in a pervious fashion from 6 to 12 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. I retract that comment. That's it.
Okay, so all those in favor of approving the minutes with the amendments?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The record show that we unanimously approve the minutes. Cash on hand and in the bank for the Mayor and Council. Total cash on hand for unrestricted use is $1,195,881.33. We also have the Washington College donation and a restricted use fund for $200,000 minus the task force invoice for work that they had completed of $3,250, which leaves us with a balance on the Washington College donation of $196,750. When you add those two figures together, the total funds on hand is $1,392,631.33. All right. Our next order of business is the payment of the bills.
Move to pay the bills as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we are going to retroactively go back to item number 4 of the Utilities Commission meeting, which is Mr. Sipes' report.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Sorry I'm late. Got to making dinner and forgot I had a meeting tonight. The hospital, the Iversol injections took place. It did not happen the way that it was planned. Originally, it was going to be an injection one day, a withdrawal, and another injection the next day, and a withdrawal and another injection the next day. What they did instead was they did an injection came back the next day, did the withdrawal, came back the next day, and did an injection. So everything was separated by a day. They did the injection, next day withdrawal. So that wound up carrying them until the following Tuesday. So from Tuesday to Tuesday, doing the system like that. Don't have the lab results back yet. They did not get a significant amount of oil from the process. They're going to review the numbers and get a report ready by the end of October. I'm hoping to get the raw information, the actual lab results from what they drew out of the groundwater. The company that did it and the people that were working, they seem to know their job very well, but also met MDE down there and talked to Susan Bull a little bit about it, and they did not experience any withdrawal of any significant oil. Over at the wastewater plant, our numbers were high for total nitrogen. It is not a violation because we have the entire calendar year. But at this point, compared to last year, we're higher than we should be. We are not in danger right now of violating the permit. I just want to make you aware that we're not in as good shape as we were last year.
Would that have anything to do with the amount of rain and all the runoff and so forth?
Yes, yes. This has been a very wet year, and the weather last year. Also, we had the UV system. We had to put that new controller on it. That wound up costing $13,000. So we had a couple high results from that. But all in all, the plant is doing well. We just ordered some ethanol and some aluminum chloride. That'll be in the bills next time. When we get the aluminum chloride, we get it by the tanker. So you generally see a bill for about $8,000 to $9,000, but that'll be on there. We had a couple repairs around town, one down on Cedar Street. A lot of calls because of the rain. The rain came down, as everyone knows, in just torrents. It was a record rainfall. We got like 6 inches of rain in about 3 to 4 hours. So there were a lot of calls from people that had water in the basement. The sewers were overwhelmed, so they were draining slowly. Had a couple calls on that, but everything is back to normal. The plant is recovering. We took over 2 million gallons of water in the night we had that rain. And that may be a record for us. And it did divert some into the holding lagoons, but the pipes can only carry so much going over to the lagoon too. So the plant got hit pretty hard, but it's recovering very well. And that's all I have.
Was this Roto-Rooter and the storm utilities, those large amounts, were they from the storm, or is this before that?
No, the Roto-Rooter bill is for Water Street. Down on Water Street, adjacent to Cannon, there is a depression that goes down the middle of the road. Kind of follows the travel of the tires on the one side. And we wanted to make sure that we didn't have another collapsed sewer pipe down there. So we tried to put our camera in, and our camera wouldn't do it. There was too much sand and stone in the bottom of the pipe. So we tried to jet it out. Well, that's a 15-inch pipe. Our jetter wasn't big enough. So we got Roto-Rooter in they have an 1.25 inch jet, which can wash out up to like 36-inch pipes. So I had them come in and clean it out and camera the line, and I have a CD of the video, a video on CD of the inspection, and the pipe's in good shape. Whatever is causing the depression, it's not damage to the sewer line.
How did that project right in front of Kent Plaza deal with all the rain?
The step pools?
The step pools, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't
It's
visit
full.
those.
It's been full ever since they built it.
What we used to get, is when we would get a rain, even half of that, that entire Lamont area was flooded. So this, we were limited on the I&I into the wastewater plant to about a 6 to 8 hour period. When Lamont used to fill up with water, it used to continue for about 3 to 4 days after a rain. So the functioning pipe underneath of the railroad tracks, allowing all that rainwater to run off, is doing good for us.
Good. So the project is working then?
I don't know if it's doing the nutrient removal. The pipe under the road is doing what I wanted. But the only way to test the effectiveness of the step pools would be to get a sample of them during an event and see exactly what they are doing.
Is that planned? Have you planned to do that?
I haven't, because I don't do the stormwater. If you want me to, I can get a sample done the next time we have an event. But we also need to establish a baseline, so we would want to get something before those step ponds and something after the step ponds.
Is there some way that you have recovery of bags, and I want to say plastic bags, but we shouldn't have a whole lot of those, I guess, but that wash down that off the parking lots and so forth and get in there? Eventually that's going to fill up with that kind of junk in there.
There are a lot of different ways to do that. What you see a lot of times is like a concrete retaining wall with a grate, and the grate would catch any debris, sticks, paper, plastic bags, anything that comes down there that doesn't belong in the river could be put in place, and then it would just have to be checked before and after storm events.
Yeah, I think we've all seen pictures on TV after a big rain like this in Baltimore City in the harbor, and they get overwhelmed, and you could almost walk across the debris in that place. And I could imagine with our 2 parking lots, it's probably pretty
We
heavy.
still do have plastic bags. And Bill Ingersoll was telling me this afternoon about pulling plastic bags out of storm drains in town that night. You know, that were blocking drains. So, I mean, a lot of stores are still using them. It's just the grocery stores that aren't.
And that would actually be your first line of defense. Those grates are designed not to let all the rainwater run in. They catch the twigs and...
But then the streets flood.
Right.
Well, if Mother Nature does that, I could always do, there'll be a time when it's dry enough you can walk out there and pick them up, I imagine, because we'll have a drought sometime between now and the next year or 2.
Yeah, and there are things that are engineered specifically to do that, to remove debris from that storm flow.
Are there any other identifiable places where we can put another step pool?
That's going to be the biggest place. I mean, unless you want to put it on the upper section of Radcliffe, but I mean, before it turns into a full-blown stream, it is intermittent up further. But Bill and Case would probably know more about that than I would. And then down here on Horsey Lane, you have that stormwater that comes down through there underneath the parking lot.
Well, they just fixed Kent Street. That was money left over from the step pools.
Oh,
They
the
did only-
sidewalk? The sidewalk?
No, and it goes through a backyard off Kent Street.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't go all the way down to the river.
And when you get down to a certain point, it's about halfway on Horsey Lane, there's a stream that runs through there that comes in. But everything up this way is just stormwater runoff. It's not a constant stream. So something could probably be done there. If the idea would be to catch debris before it gets to the river, a structure could be put right on the pipe that comes from the parking lot over at Ellen's and Dollar General. Something could be put there to catch debris. It would just have to be maintained.
I have a question on a different topic.
Okay.
I had a call from a resident in my ward today, and one of the questions she asked me was, who's responsible for flushing fire hydrants, and is that still being done?
We flush fire hydrants, we flush them as needed. So if we get a call from a resident that the water is discolored, we will go out there and we'll flush a fire hydrant. If the volunteer fire department calls and they say they're going to be using a fire hydrant, we go out and flush it first, so it doesn't end up causing problems that aren't expected.
So why would a fire hydrant be involved in somebody's domestic water being cloudy?
But the fire hydrants are on the domestic water distribution system. So when we pump the water out to the town, the only reason for the mains to be as big as they are is to carry fire flows. And those hydrants, when something happens in the mains, it could be somebody doing maintenance on a fire system, it could be the fire department using a fire hydrant for a fire. What can happen is on the sides of the main, you get a buildup of lime and a little bit of iron.
And
Now,
then-
even when you see really brown water, about 90 to 95% of that is actually lime.
So it's,
But
when
the
they've used it
iron
a lot, it
discovers it.
sloughs off.
Right.
Okay.
When the velocity in the main gets higher, it'll slough off and people will get iced tea colored water. But as soon as they call, we send somebody out, we open up a fire hydrant and we flush all that out of the main.
Okay.
All right, are there other questions for Bob Sipes? Okay, thank you, Mr. Sipes.
Thank you.
Okay, jumping back to the mayor and council meeting agenda, item number 4, our next order of business, Chief Baker to swear in officer.
We should probably suspend that meeting.
We should adjourn the,
Should we adjourn
I
the,
would move to adjourn the utilities meeting.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The Utilities Commission meeting is officially adjourned. Which now officially brings us back to the mayor and council meeting. And item number 4, which is Police Chief Baker to swear in Officer Eli Perper.
Being Mayor and Council. As I was fortunate to say about 2 weeks ago, this is one of the best parts of the job, and luckily we get to do it again tonight. I asked Officer Perper to come forward, please, and Mayor, would you help us with
Sure.
this, please? Officer Perper comes to us from Montgomery County. He graduated from high school in 2011, so that lets you know he's not having his 50th birthday anytime soon. He's been with the Laurel Volunteer Rescue Squad for about 3 years, and tonight, as of about a half hour, he is a member of the Chestertown Volunteer Fire Company. He was just voted in tonight. He will be residing here in town, and we are fortunate to have found him in the Prince George's County Community College Police Academy. And he graduated about 2 weeks ago, and he's been with us for about a week. So we look forward to his service. And Mayor, if you do us the honors of reading the oath. And
the Bible.
if you would raise your right hand and repeat after the mayor, and insert your name.
I state your name.
I, Eli Perper,
Do swear that I will support the Constitution
do swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of police officer
execute the office of police officer
of the Chestertown Police Department
of the Chestertown Police Department
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and laws of this state.
and laws of this state.
Thank you, sir. And we had mom and girlfriend, could we get quick?
Sure. Congratulations.
Is that your wife? with you?
My girlfriend.
Oh, I should have held the
Marty.
Bible. Way to put more
Way
pressure
to
on the
make,
guy.
way to embarrass.
Oh, okay. I say you're left-handed. That's a great thing for a police officer, because hooking a seatbelt with your weapon on that side, I spent 40 years doing that, and that's a pain in the butt, so you at least don't have that to worry about, so.
But why is he wearing his bulletproof vest?
He heard these council meetings were rough.
You heard this was a tough audience.
Be prepared.
He heard about me, he's thought I'd throw a coffee cup at him.
Okay, next is the police report.
Yes, thank you very much. So we'll go over the statistics for the month of July 2014. Our administration was 35 hours with 3%. Criminal investigations were 31 with 3%. Our accident investigations were 11 hours with 1%. Vehicle patrol was 641 hours, and that was 60%. Foot patrol was 81 hours, yielding 8%. Training was 39 hours, 4%. Court was 8 hours with 1%, and our overtime was 141, and that was 13%. We made 16 adult arrests, and that involved 30 separate charges. Broken down, they were 5 ex parte, 5 for other agency, 5 thefts, 4 FTAs, 4 burglaries, 3 MDOPs, 2 harassment, and 1 each for disorderly and for trespassing. We had 0 juvenile arrests and 0 civil citations. In our Part 1 offenses, we had 7. And cleared by arrest were 4, and our Part 2 offenses were 12, cleared by arrest were 5, and by exception were 3. Our motor vehicle citations issued were 5, warnings were 77. We had kind of a bumper month in
Wow.
Red Speed with 463. We issued 1 criminal citation. Ward 1 had 3% of the calls, Ward 2 had 42, Ward 3 were 16, Ward 4 was 29, almost 30. Our busiest day, an anomaly for whatever reason, was Tuesday for calls, and our busiest time was 4 to 5 o'clock. I'm sorry, I forgot to pass out the overtime ritual. Our biggest chunk this month is significantly shift coverage, and that is attributed to 5 officers down. In addition to our openings and our 2 that were injured, we had 1 on paternity leave. And if you recall, the month of July was a bit busy for us with regard to some habitual burglaries, and we were dedicating a lot of time to that in the early month.
You said you were 5 officers down?
Yes, ma'am.
So I knew about the 2 on disability leave.
Yes, ma'am. And then there's 2 vacancies. These
Oh.
officers are not functional yet. And if you're curious, they have to go into field training. Both of them are now doing that.
Right.
That minimum time is 80 hours mandated by the state, although we extend that a bit.
So you had only about 9 officers on full-time duty in July?
Well, we have 13, including myself,
Mhm.
so actually less than that, counting the ones that are just doing
8.
patrol. Probably
Okay.
a little less than that.
Good difference.
So, and lastly, if I might request officially, I see it on the agenda, I would like to consider an executive session with regard to a real estate matter.
How, 6 weeks, 8 weeks for Officer Pepper before he'll be on his
It's
own?
80 hours, so, but like I said, we'll probably extend that a little bit. It's just kind of an...
Depends on the officer and the...
Absolutely, yes, sir. But he's doing great, and so is Officer Spade. They're doing very well.
He's going to live right here in town, right?
Yes, sir, he is.
It'll make you
Great.
happy.
Great.
Yes, sir.
So do we need to officially do anything? What do
We need a motion for an executive session.
You want me to read it?
I can't. I can't do it.
I make a motion for an executive session following our regular meeting under 10.10-508 of the annotated code of the state of Maryland. I should have said that first. I request an executive session following this meeting kind of did it back
You have to give the reason real estate.
for real estate.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that we unanimously approved the executive session for a real estate matter after the regular meeting.
Can I ask you something, so
Sure.
I don't have to call on Saturday morning?
Yes, ma'am.
If I put the no parking bags on the parking meters
Talk about farmer's market.
for the farmer's market, and somebody doesn't move their car, what do we have to do?
Well, call us.
I have.
I hope
2 weeks in a row now.
I asked someone to come to you before
Both
you needed to
times,
call.
both
No,
times.
actually, I hope they came before you needed to call
Oh.
this past week. That was my
Uh-huh.
request, so we'll just make sure that we check in early.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most difficult thing is really just trying to track somebody down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had the cones one week, and they've disappeared. I put them back. I put
They're
them,
back in the stairway.
oh, you would put them out by the,
I did, but I'm saying I
Oh,
covered them
okay.
so much, I put them right back where they
so I was
live.
afraid somebody took them, so I need those on Friday night.
Okay.
And, but what the problem I had the past 2 weekends, somebody was parked in the spot on Friday night and still on Saturday morning, so it's not fair to,
Yeah,
you know.
clearly the best thing for us to do is proactively deal with it instead of having to try and chase somebody down, so we'll get a better handle on it.
Can we get it in the paper, in the newspaper, that the first 3 spots, the first 3 parallel spots on Park Row are used by the farmer's market on Saturday morning?
First 3 closest
The-
to
The church, the closest to the Episcopal Church.
So where the-
But the parallel, not the diagonals, but the parallel.
Yeah, so
Can
where
we
Lou
just
Dodd's
overlay
go.
all those bags with the farmer's market Saturday mornings, no parking?
I do.
No, but I mean permanently. We bag the meters, so it's free, so people park there.
But it says no parking. The bags say no parking.
Well, what I mean is to get something that says no parking Saturday morning.
Oh, okay.
For the farmer's market, and we can just leave it up there.
Saturday from 7 to 1.
Yeah.
In lieu of getting that, or until we do, we have those paper signs, we can put them up until we can get that on that. That would work,
Okay.
okay?
So this is for Lou Dodd's, the guy from
And
Cedar Run.
it's probably the same guys, same kids that live in the apartment above.
Well,
second
it's
door
been
down.
different cars.
Their girlfriends.
And then
changed.
somebody was parked in the pull-in, on the farmer's market side. And they never did come out. I don't know where they were.
Okay, well, we'll be happy to help however we can.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, town manager's report, Bill Ingersoll.
All right. The evaluation of the solar array bids is going well. The attorney that we hired has read and reviewed all of them. It has a 3-page sort of overall, looking at all, and I'm going to ask him to focus in on a few now. Concerns that, some of which are already in the specifications, though he has those too, but he has a lot of experience. I also called several areas that where recommendations were made by the lowest bidders of their having projects, just to get an idea how people felt about them after they actually built the project. So we're right on schedule here for a September decision. I haven't found anything about anybody's bid at this time that would make us exclude them from the bidding. I also have a really colorful kind of good news from the Delaware Agricultural Department. They sent me back the soil test, the first soil test that I did on the Fountain Park, and with the recommendations of what to do. And I think I might have mentioned that the lady said her daughter lived in this town, or her mother, and loves the farmer's market, so they did 2 extra tests for different types of grass there for heavier use, hard walking. So we have this model complete And the second test I took was
Save
from,
$2,500 right off the book.
the second test that I did, and they're gonna send a specialist over here about, they'll be happy to help us further when we apply this information. The second test that I took on the areas that don't seem to grow at all, whether it's heavy traffic or the fact that we put in underground lines and turn the clay up to the top, I sent a separate test on that. That should be in a day or so. Second thing is the Eat, Drink, and Buy Art invoice that we had before, which I thought was a minor cost. We could find no history of the town. And I'm not sure exactly what they meant, but it probably was some agency, maybe it was, but it was not us. So that end there about us paying it before, but that doesn't mean that you can't participate.
So that, I was confused about that after our meeting last time. Somebody said it was for an app. And I looked up this Eat, Drink, and Buy Art on the internet, and it's actually a really cool website that really promotes the towns that are involved. By not paying this invoice, which we haven't seen, so I don't know exactly what it says, are we in any danger of being excluded from this program?
Well, I have a question too, because when I went on it, I have at least 10 businesses in my ward downtown that aren't listed on there. And then I was wondering if the ones that are listed on the website had to pay anything to be on the site.
More questions.
You know, I mean, I'm
this
going up and
bill? Like
down the
200
street.
bucks.
It's like
I know.
It's arts and...
Well, I think you bring up a
Arts
good
and
point.
restaurants.
If we're in, we want to be all in. And
Right, I want all the businesses
That was the
listed.
point I made. If
Everybody
somebody's
should be
trying to
ready.
make money off of the restaurants and they want to pay into it, fine, but...
But it's also the art stores, you know,
It's the galleries.
We need to find
But
out
it's-
if they pay too, so.
And if we pay, I would like all the businesses listed.
I
If
agree
we
with
pay
you.
for them, but if the businesses have to pay for themselves.
Right,
then we need to
I know,
get
that
out
was
there
my
and-
question.
But why would they be paying? It's a state
And the
supported
restaurants.
thing.
Was it?
Yeah,
state
it says
supported?
it's a collaborative marketing tool
Yeah.
developed by Tourism, Arts, and Downtown Development, a network of 11 communities on the eastern shore of Maryland. And the funding is in part from the State of Maryland Heritage Areas Authority.
Okay, well, Bernadette.
So I was a little bit confused by that because of there were more than 11 towns on the
There were
site, and
17.
about 5 of them or 6 of them were from Delaware. But,
Right.
so I think there's a little bit more digging to be done, but I would hate to see us drop out of it for the lack of paying a couple of $100.
It didn't sound like a pressurized.
Okay.
Okay, so what are we gonna do?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Nothing.
I'm going to find out everything we need to know, and by the next meeting, that meager amount, we're probably going to approve it. If it was $5, we could approve it tonight.
I would give you $5 right now, just to get this off the agenda. But,
My
Give me
question,
$5.
my question is, when you go on Chestertown,
Yeah.
are the businesses and the restaurants listed? Did they have to pay to be listed? And if they
I think that's a good
didn't,
question.
I would like it updated with all of our restaurants.
Would the
And we'll
DCA
find
know
out-
anything about this?
And we'll find out who updates it, who manages it.
Would the DCA know anything about
I
the?
have to
I
ask
think
Kristen.
Bernadette's most likely to be the one who knows about it. She's usually one that coordinates with Maryland Heritage Areas
I see,
and
yeah.
does those symbiosis.
So that maybe it was their
Yes.
office who has paid for it in the past.
And actually, there were
I know
2
how that
on there
works
that are
supposed to end.
closed.
okay, so Bill, you're gonna contact Bernadette,
check.
get to the bottom of this program,
Yeah, the whole bottom.
see what's going on.
2 that are
and then we'll
closing.
Bring this up for one more round of
Could you,
Sorry, Chris.
could you
Sorry
put this
about
on our
that.
default agenda thing so that this time next year we'll still be able to go over?
Yeah, I'll keep doing that. I'll set it in there
In the
for
background with.
All right.
ever.
Are you going on to the rail trail now?
I am. I got this picture,
Oh, look at that.
this aerial photograph that Tyler Campbell took,
Yeah, this is cool.
That is neat.
sent to us today, and he's so skilled. But what this picture shows me 3 things. It shows you the roundabout, but just above it, you'll see the rail trail, which is crushed concrete right now. And you'll also see the Gateway Mabel Mumford Park, and you can just it shows you that that whole area is undergoing a change, that, where everything is falling together.
Could you?
Please don't get me
Is
with
that-
the camera. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Stealing bills every time.
Doing it again. So it's a great gift that Tyler has given to us, because it does show just what we're talking about, and what we'll be talking about on Thursday night is the confluence of these systems. And I think more and more people tell me every day that the roundabout is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. They like it now. So
How about that?
That's a big turnaround,
Sea
so to speak.
change.
Yep.
Well, you remember the big brouhaha that happened when we put the three-way stops in. And people
Oh, yeah.
thought it was-
Let me get to the details
Yeah, they
of the
love
rail
it.
trail. We're having the foliage trimmed back by 2 local contractors. There were a lot of sub-base issues. I don't know if anybody ever walked through there behind Brooks's Mill at this last part, where it bends. It almost reminds you of being down in Louisiana. I mean, it was 4 or 5 feet below the grade there, so it was swampy. There was a lot of undercut and a lot of replacement with stone.
I've been through there.
And there's some ditching, a little ditching to do, and all that fiasco with the Maryland Department of Environment went away. Apparently, we had all the licenses we were supposed to have, thanks to Case. And but anyway, we should be paving in less than a month. It's really tightened up. We want to cut back the foliage, and we'll be ready to go.
And then as part of the Gateway Park, this sidewalk on the roundabout will be extended all the way to adjoin not only the rail trail, but go all the way over the bridge to Gateway Park.
Right.
correct?
The agreement that we had with the SHA was that they were going to abandon this decel lane, which won't be needed anymore, place a 5-foot sidewalk to the park adjacent to the bridge. So hopefully, we're trying to find out when that gets done. And I don't know whether you can see it or not. This looks like a pretty big vehicle heading west. I don't know whether that's a bus or a truck, but it doesn't look like it had trouble getting through the
No.
roundabout. So that answers another question that we heard a lot.
Who owns this lot directly above the roundabout?
General
Odell.
Odell.
So you still have it?
It is for sale.
And the sidewalk, when you say it'll be extended to the Mabel Mumford Park, is that the same as saying it goes to the intersection with Flatland Road? I'm not
Not
exactly
quite.
sure.
Almost.
Is there a reason we can't bring it right to Flatland Road?
Well, I think Sam Shoge brought up a good point, that the sidewalk system on the other side might be better to go across our lot that we own at the intersection rather than
okay.
necessarily
So
following
there's-
it. There is going to be a light, not a traffic signal, but a street light at that intersection put in by the state highway.
You mean a lamp, a street lamp?
A
Okay.
street light, and there will be a crossing built there to get people across.
Okay.
And I guess would have a sidewalk that went up to catch the diagonal that Sam recommended. It really was a good idea. You can see where people have walked across. A
There's
few
some
years-
reduced speed signs on the way out of town now too, which is something they never had before.
We do need this, to be a 30 or 40 mile an hour zone somewhere past this park. We need that always, not just for this, but
And do we know when the roundabout is finished, will there be yield signs at all the entrances to
I'm
the
sure it'll be
roundabout?
signed
Because-
completely.
You know, you're supposed to yield to the people in the circle.
They usually say yield to those people that are in the roundabout.
In the circle, yeah. Because a lot of Americans don't know how to deal with roundabouts.
But they seem to be learning rapidly,
Yeah, they will. They learned the three-way stop.
those Americans.
So if all goes well, we're basically letting the crushed concrete settle for about another month or so, and then we'll start
It
paving.
is really tight. It has tightened up, especially where the undercut was.
Wonderful.
My only question is, the driveway that goes into, basically between the Gillespie driveway and the Dixon driveway, it didn't look like that had crushed concrete. Is that because there's already gravel substrate there?
No, I don't, I think they just concentrate on this. I think that connects to the trails 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they're finished that. I don't think that's ready. I think they concentrated mostly on this. This was the toughest section, and they tackled it first.
Some of that was there before.
And
It's been there for a while.
they got a lot of this work done before the 6.5 inches of rain, so it held up pretty well in that.
Phase 4 is crossing Morgan Neck and heading towards the water tower, yeah? Okay.
And we still do not have the lease on that land from the MTA. They have to finish their storm drain under the overpass before they'll release that land to us. They have specifically said you're not to do this here yet. But our success with getting Maryland Bikeways grants, I'm pretty sure that with us finishing this on time, that we'll stand well to do that, and any side trails that we want to do. I think the plan was to have bicyclists be able to go out Manor, recall, and also another trail to the south that would go link up with Talbot. They're not rail trails, but they'd be trails just to connect. And I guess someday the county will take up the idea of whether to extend it to work.
You ever notice how nice and neat everything looks from aerial? It's like flying in on an airplane. Everything looks so much nicer.
I just really appreciate Tyler doing that, though, because you can look at this on Google Earth, but to me, there's something about this aerial photograph that's a little bit different than that. When I did this last year for phase 1 in the area of the train stations, really pretty screensaver. So I'm done.
Okay, that brings us to the mayor's report. The first item on my report is I would really like to move the meeting that is scheduled for September 1st, which is Labor Day, to September 2nd, which is a Tuesday.
That's standard procedure.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that, or can we just do that?
That's
what we do.
Standard operating procedure. You got it.
That's done? Okay. Also, I want to remind everybody that we have a public meeting this Thursday at 7 o'clock here in Town Hall to discuss Mabel Mumford Gateway Park. Sam, I'm assuming you're going to be there?
Oh, yeah.
Case DeMoy will be there. He has done a lot of work on this project to address concerns that were brought up by both the town, some residents, SHA, on down the line. So that should be a very informative session, and we look forward to interacting with the public to talk about that. Thirdly, I want to remind everybody that we have our second Marina Charrette, 6:30 p.m. next Wednesday, August 27th. That's going to be held again in the large green shed at Chestertown Marina. At that charrette, Case and Bill and I have been working with Macron to get their first stab at a rendering of what a newly rehabilitated marina would look like, incorporating many of the features that the public brought to us, or at least agreed with some of our suggestions from that PowerPoint, which included centering the boat ramp and having some actual boat ramp parking, reducing the docks from 4 to 3, but extending them out and making them each into T-heads, moving the marina store up to the high ground. We hope to have a draft of that in the foyer hopefully by Monday.
Yes.
And we'll put that up on the website, and we'll try to get copies to all of you in advance of the charrette. But if we can't pull it up, but I'm confident that we can, please at least come to the charrette and we'll go over the iteration and then ask for public input. And then at that point, we, as a mayor and council, basically need to man up and make some decisions about what this marina is going to look like, because it's been kicked down the road for 2.5 years now, and we need to just make some calls and go raise money. So that's the plan. This is an interesting one, Winterfest weekend. I previously called this Colonial Christmas. I got some pushback from some neighbors. We're calling it Winterfest weekend. It's the first weekend in December. It starts with the first Friday. One of the things that I have noticed in the last several years is that I feel like our decorations downtown could use a little pick-me-up, I'll just put it that way. Basically, in talking to the folks that have been responsible for the downtown decorations, it seems like over the years, the number of people that became responsible for decorating the town dwindled from a large group to basically the town and 1 or 2 people on DCA. And I think resultantly, they just haven't been all that impressive the last couple of years. One of my visions for downtown during the holiday season is that we decorate this town to the point where it's a regional attraction that draws visitors from our community, from the county, and even from the surrounding towns. And to be honest, to do that, I feel like we need to invest some money in purchasing new decorations that make the town look the way that it should. And resultantly, I helped arrange a meeting with Bill and some of the folks that have done the decorations, namely Curb Appeal and DCA. We basically ran some ideas by them and tried to get an idea of a dollar figure of, let's pretend money is not an object. What do you think a Cadillac version for decorating this town for the whole month of December would look like? And the figure that they came up with was $20,000. Now, that might sound like a lot of money. Chesapeake City just did this a couple years ago to make themselves a regional destination. They invested about $160,000. So I would also say that every year we've been spending about $2,000 on garlands that last for about a month, and then we spend that money every year. We've done that for the last 5 or 6 years. So what I'm doing tonight, I'm not suggesting that we write a check from our non-budgeted budget for $20,000, but I did have a lot of people tell me that if I was ever elected mayor and I needed a favor, that they would be willing to step up and help out. So I'm saying right now to the public, I want to decorate this town, and it's going to cost a little bit of money. And if you are a person with means, whether you live in Chestertown or Kent County, and you think this is a good idea, help us financially and write us a donation. Until the next budgeting session comes around, I think that's our only option, but I want to set a lofty goal to make this town look really, really nice. I think some other possibilities that we discussed were, instead of having the town run lights all around the entire town and basically do all of the work, that we may come up with a different concept where individual business owners help us out by decorating their buildings, perhaps turning it into a competition, so that it becomes more of a community effort to decorate the town rather than the work of just a couple of people. So that's kind of all on the table right now. In addition to just basically asking folks for donations, I'm going to start looking for creative ways to get this funding, whether it's through grants. But it's also possible that we might want to include line items incrementally for the next couple of years to make investments for decorations that will have staying power, so that eventually we just have decorations that we roll out every year to make the town look the way that it should.
I think there was a little of the allure was lost when we, and I understand why, when we had to take the lights out of the tree.
I agree. I totally
There was
agree.
nothing more beautiful than those lights when they were in the tree on Whitens.
I agree.
But what we have now doesn't even come close to touching that.
Right.
But Bill said, you know, the guy just didn't want to go up there and get fried, you know,
Yes.
when they put the lights up, so.
But there are also, we did talk at this meeting with other possible strategies, like instead of stringing the lights all through the sycamores, which are losing limbs and are dangerous, we could strategically pick smaller trees in parcels that we own, like Fountain Park, like Memorial Park. But again, we need to make the investment into high-quality lights that are going to last for 10 years. And it's going to take a little bit of money.
You said something about a competition. There is, in fact, a competition, and I have a little bit of a bone to pick with it as a longtime resident of the historic district. The perennial winner of the private home decoration in the historic district was always someone who used a lot of artificial materials. So, I mean, there might be something that we could do.
There's a daytime award too.
The residences in the historic district, that we could really go back to traditional
We
decorations.
do the wards. It's done by ward.
Right, and
But
this-
there's also a daytime award
Yeah,
that the
and
mayor chooses.
that's the one I'm talking about, I think. But let's, you know, a combination of playing on the historical aspect. And I agree, we lost a lot when we took the lights out of the trees, for good reasons.
Yes.
And then there were those few years when we had the really cold-looking, energy-efficient bulbs, and now those, thank goodness, have been replaced with the warmer ones. But I think we could do a lot with this.
You can also put the lights around the light poles, too.
Yes,
That's a
correct.
good idea.
But if, and I'm hoping, and everybody is, any increase in the hotel tax from the reenactment of the Battle of Cox Field, I would like to make a note to appropriate any increase in the hotel tax to go to the decorations.
Good.
That's a great idea.
One thing you left out.
What did I leave out?
The candles in every window.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I was gonna get into that.
Oh, that
You know,
was-
I don't wanna sit here and say, we're gonna do this, this, and this, because it's really not my area of expertise, but some of the ideas that were bandied about were things like, when you go by an old colonial home and they have a candle in each window, that's a really, I
We
think,
could
classy way.
encourage-
You bring people's attention up without having to string lights that are really laborious and cumbersome. Garlands that look really natural but are in fact artificial, but they have to be high enough quality that they're gonna last for 10 years and trick the eye as you drive through to make it look right. It all costs money, and that's where that figure came from. So I just want to, tonight, I just want to throw that out there, throw out the vision, and then we can start working on the nuts and bolts to make this happen.
And we don't want to look like every other town either. so
Agreed.
We want to be original. I mean, you go into some of these towns and they have their light pole with a candy cane on it and a flag or something,
Well,
and another
Chesapeake
light
City
pole
has a
with a candy
Teflon ice
cane.
rink, too. Do you want to throw that in?
My son would love that.
I don't think we want to go the route of Chesapeake City. I just wanted to throw their number out there to show you that
Get
$20,000,
some DuPont money.
it's a lot of money, but
No?
it could be a lot higher.
And what kind of a return did they get?
There's a rumor
It
Santa
looks like a
Claus
winter
lives in
wonderland in
Kansas
Chesapeake City at
Chesapeake City.
Christmas.
Yeah.
And they've done it, and they mark it in Delaware, and so they have people come from Delaware to look at all the lights.
So I think we have, you know, in curb appeal in particular, that's kind of what those folks do.
Yeah.
And so they had some great ideas, and we just need to make it happen. So that's the vision. Okay, my next thing is Ashley Colin, who has come in here for food truck. Are you shaking your head?
No, sorry.
She called me 15 minutes before I walked out of my house to come to this meeting, and the last time we had kind of given her provisional approval, I'll say, for a site that was working on with a landlord out at the Dollar General parking lot. Well, the next planning commission meeting, she came to them with a concept plan for the Twilly Lane parking lot. And one of the holdups was that the planning commission had expecting to be hearing about Dollar General, and she didn't have written approval from the landowners on Twilly Lane. She now has the written approval of the landowners on Twilly Lane. She's been to the site with Case to talk about ingress and egress. And what I'm hoping we can do tonight is give her provisional approval to go forward with that concept plan to the planning commission meeting on Wednesday, so that if they give her the go-ahead, basically she has our go-ahead. And we kind of talked about allowing her to do this on almost an experimental basis to see if the whole concept of food trucks.
Well, is there
Can work.
plans for Twilly Lane to build some houses?
not in 30
Not in the immediate future, but yes.
I mean, I've seen some, but I saw.
There are concept plans out there, so I think that the use of that site would probably be temporary anyway, just based on the nature of what's going to eventually happen.
Unless she's terribly successful, maybe she'll buy it.
Well, if the owner has given her permission, then that tells you that he's not planning on doing anything really soon.
So,
I mean, if she thinks that's a good location business-wise, I don't see why we can't transfer the approval that we gave to her for the earlier location to that one.
okay, do we need
You'll
a
probably
motion?
get less complaints from Twilly Lane than you will from, I don't know.
There'll be some complaints.
There's another
There's going to be
restaurant down there,
complaints no matter what. If we allow a food truck to exist in Chestertown, somebody's going to complain about it. But do we
I
need a
make
motion?
I'll make a motion that we, if we need to amend the previous motion for Ashley Her and her food truck, okay, amend that, or I make a motion that we give provisional approval for Ashley to have her food truck on Twilly Lane.
30 days we gave her last time.
Pending,
To go to the planning commission.
Okay, is there a
Are we going to
second?
restrict hours or days or months or what is this? She just goes there forever until she gets,
The last one was a 30-day approval, and she had her hours between 10 and 3:30, I think.
I think that sounds more reasonable to have some kind of a limits on there. I don't think her operating at 11 o'clock at night is going
Yeah.
to seat well
No.
for people.
She didn't
down
plan to
there.
do that.
Just
But
lunchtime.
I think we had it right in the previous resolution. So if we could just revise that one to change the location.
And then after 30 days, I guess we just readdress the issue and make it more
Reevaluate,
permanent? or-
if we can extend.
See how it goes.
Right. Now, what about this whole issue of renting or leasing the space? And-
That's what she's doing.
And how much is she paying for that?
That's
It's a
between her
private
and them.
agreement. between
That's
her
not our
and the
business.
So what's the issue of paying the town? I mean, it's something that keeps being brought up.
We had $150 a month, is that correct?
We have a reasonable fee.
Okay.
We really do. I looked at
Is
some.
it
like-
150? Here are the,
Yeah, I don't know. Isn't it?
it's still,
It's either stated as a weekly, it's a minor expense, I think.
that was monthly.
Easton's $15 a day. That adds
So
up
that's
to-
only if she's on a public road?
Yeah.
or-
That's just
What's
for
her
the
business
permit.
Right now, you are
Right,
taking a
gotcha.
nice step because there's no provisions for it at all. So you're taking a provisional step, and you're, though we did find in our ordinances where there was a fee, not the itinerant fee of $1,000 a month, something far more reasonable.
Okay.
And
What was it?
that one, I think, I'd like to go get the book before I go with what you have written there, but I think it was,
Okay.
do you know what it was?
I'm pretty sure it was 150 a month.
150.
So it's not going to be the $1,000?
No,
no.
No.
Gotcha, okay.
And if I could just put in one word here, I don't think 30 days is much of a trial period. I think you do need to say that she has her health department approval and all that. Once she gets that, I don't know why you couldn't give her 60 or 90 days, because you are basically seeing how this works yourself as a model. And you really, we talked about this earlier, she already has her truck. She bought her truck before you gave approval or not. I don't want someone out there to buy a truck for $30,000 or $40,000 and say, I was pretty sure the town was going to let me do this. There's rules being promulgated by the planning commission on how this should be done, and I think this is a way of getting her started. She was the first that asked, and finding out how it works yourself.
Well,
Right, so do
can
we-
we go $150 for 9 months, 3 months?
90
And
days?
at the end of 3 months, if she comes back and her
I don't think the
business
fee- I
is
think
established, we could just say we'll extend it another 9
I think
months?
the fee's fine. I was talking about the time.
Yeah.
I was
Well, it
talking
was-
about giving her 90 days and having that fee that we already have in our ordinance. You don't have to change that. That's reasonable.
Was $150 a month?
Yeah, that's, to me, that's
That's
reasonable. How much is that a day?
Well, here we have
$3.
Is it $5 a day?
3,
That's very reasonable when you think what the
Right.
restaurant people
mean,
are paying.
Right.
You're gonna have people saying, I pay this, I pay $6,000 in taxes, and it's in the books. I think you're bending over backwards. I just was mentioning, I think she should have more time to try to operate, so you can find out is, you
Well, let's
know,
get
But then-
90 days.
That's what I was saying.
whose court is the ball in at the end of 90 days? Is it us, or is it the
She would
planning
have to come
commission?
back.
She could come back.
'Cause-
In that,
But who does she come to? Is she coming to
it
the,
comes back here. You are the granting authority. We're expecting the planning commission to do is flesh out the details for the next 5 or 6 or 7 food trucks that come, all right?
So I think we need to amend the motion. Do you want to do that, Linda?
I amend the motion for the monthly fee to be $150 for 90 days, the first 90 days, and then we'll review it at the end of 90 days.
$150 a month for nothing.
No, $150 for 90 days.
Pretty damn
it's
cheap.
$50 a month? That's pretty cheap.
Difference between owning
That's
a
for
house
nothing.
and a
That's
trailer.
just a trial
$50 a month. Where can you go and get something for $50 a month?
Well, apparently you can go to a lot of places.
Yeah, you can, the list, some of them are $150 a year, $2 a year, $75 a year,
Princess Anne is $2 a year, if this is correct.
$25 a year.
Yeah.
Rock Hall is
We didn't
75.
promulgate that.
No, it didn't come from
I'm
us,
not
so I don't
saying
sure it's
that's
authoritative.
correct.
All right, Linda, can you say your motion from the beginning to the end?
From the beginning to the end, I make a motion that we issue Ashley her a permit for her food truck for $150 for 3 months, so that she can come back to us at the end of 3 months, and we'll decide at the end of 3 months whether we extend that or it's
And
$150.
it's pending approval from the planning
From the
commission.
planning
How-
commission.
To operate on the Twilly Lane parking lot on Cannon Street.
Right. To her changed location.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I think it's too cheap, but I'll vote for it.
Okay. Lastly, I just want to say that we, as a municipality, did officially submit a grant to the Community Parks and Playgrounds Program for the Kent County Middle School renovations. I think the final amount was in the neighborhood of $230,000. We hope to find out the success of that application by sometime in May, generally. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if that grant is successful, then it will lead to the rehabilitation of all those recreational amenities, and we would have public access land use agreements. Yes?
I would like to go back to the previous issue. Who owns the parking lot that we're
It's
talking
owned
about?
by some
Grasmick.
partners, Lou Grasmick, and I believe Chuck Cavell has an interest in
And
it.
so is that where she's going to park?
Yes,
Okay.
and she has apparently a lease agreement with them.
What time did you walk down tonight?
I drove down.
I was heartened to see kids playing in the
The wiffle ball
in
league.
the
wiffle ball.
lot. And the reason I bring it up is you brought up the middle school.
Yes.
Won't it be great when kids are
Yes.
playing over there? I mean, that was, I don't know who organized it. It looks like two
The Recreation
baseball
Commission.
games or
Recreation
something.
Commission, it's a wiffle ball league.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
2 wiffle ball games.
They had a great turnout.
It was,
Was it kids or adults, combination of both?
Mostly kids.
well,
Two
there wasn't
games going
kids,
on.
but there was some adult supervisors.
Kids and their parents.
Okay.
Okay, ward reports. Let's start with Liz Gross.
Oh, thank you. Nothing specific to the ward. Jen, the minutes of the last meeting said that the draft ordinance or the ordinance that we introduced for the Recreation Commission would be on the website, and it's not there that I could find.
Oh, it's there. I've had it put up the next day. I'll check.
Well, maybe I need to
But I thought
refresh.
that I think if you go under the government section.
I did.
And you didn't say it, I'm gonna go check.
I might need, but also when you go there, the so-called draft ordinance that we passed for the elections is still there. Now, maybe I need to refresh my browser.
Yeah, let me go check.
I had a resident express some concern about whether the large new fire truck for the fire department was too heavy to safely cross the bridge at the end of Queen Street to Byford Court. Does anybody know the answer to that?
Well, did you talk to the same person? I did?
Probably.
I saw her reading your article.
No?
She was reading it.
Well, she's in my work.
I get that question sometimes.
I can
from
call the
concrete
fire
trucks
department
stuff.
and,
We need to find out how much it weighs.
Well-
or what the weight load for that bridge is.
Well, anything on the other side of the bridge, Chestertown is not the first responder.
No, the little bridge that goes,
the Byford
the
Court.
Byford Court Bridge, at the end
Oh,
of Queen Street in the
Yeah.
first ward. It's a little tiny bridge.
I
It
think
floods.
it will. Oh, you
think it
mean
will?
a flood?
The wooden bridge?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is, no,
So-
mine is across the Chester River Bridge.
No.
Wow, that's a bigger issue.
That wouldn't be anybody in my
Bypass,
ward.
bypass.
So,
Can it go around the roundabout? That's
I'll
the next question.
take it upon myself to make contact with the fire department about that, because I need to do that anyway. And that's,
That snorkel, they ought to be able to just stop at
Yeah.
the bridge and just service
Shoot.
anything and buy.
We're giving them an easement.
that's it for the first ward.
Okay, Ward 2,
It's awful.
Linda.
Well, follow up on Liz, I had a question, can the new fire truck get across the Chester River Bridge? And also, I have a resident who's concerned with what kind of fire siren do we have if we have a tornado coming or a catastrophe?
We have to,
Because not everybody has a cell phone, and I don't know whether I mean, mine was giving me alerts all day Tuesday, with the storm, and I was in PG County, but I don't know whether track phones will give you that alert. I don't know, because I don't have a track phone, because we don't have a fire
But
siren.
911 does reverse. We had this question asked in a meeting about the new police station, and the 911 guy says they do the reverse dialing in big emergencies. But that question comes up all the time, and I'm not sure. Joe, do you know whether the siren is working at the campus?
Sporadically, but it's still working.
Okay, well that's the one that still works, and that would give the tornado warning. The other question about...
you can't hear that from most of town.
Oh, yeah.
You can.
You can hear it.
Yeah, it was on.
Well, up there where you are
You
probably,
can't hear if it's not working.
no, well, obviously. But, okay,
One
so
of the
we have been
firehouse
talking to
hasn't
the
worked
same
for years.
resident, because I was saving that particular question.
But
But
anyway,
whose responsibility would that be? Would it be it's not the fire department's responsibility to warn people if a tornado is coming.
Chief.
So would that be emergency
Did you hear the
preparedness?
question, Chief? Can you help us?
I really can't.
Can you help us find out the
I
answer?
absolutely can do that, yes.
So, the question would be, does the siren work at Washington College, and does it have the ability to tell people that there's a tornado
I'd be
warning?
happy to find it.
And
Or any type
we
of
know this one
catastrophe.
doesn't work right now, and are there any other options that the public could audibly hear?
Okay. I'll find that tomorrow.
One of the things we talked about was locating a siren that could be heard by all on higher ground, away from residential areas, say up by the rescue squad.
We need one that makes a distinct sound, though, because people get so used to hearing the same thing right
Yeah.
now for a fireman.
Well, a different,
You need something that says, wait a minute, this is different than we normally hear.
But it is an issue, and it's something that the fire company did ask us a couple years ago, would we pay to have this siren fixed? And we got in the same question as, how many times is it going to go off? And they said, right here in this room, we'll only put it off, not for every car accident or whatever, we'll only set it off during, where we really need to call extra fire people, that we don't get on the phone or if it's that kind of emergency, so. But it's such a serious thing, we do need to ask the
It's
question.
needed, though. It really is.
Yep.
I mean, you just need one tornado that run through the middle of town and nobody knew about it.
and then the questions will be asked.
Right.
okay, and then Chief, I'm sorry, but I forgot when you were giving your report. I've had complaints of skateboarders on Queen Street and High. And,
Any particular times?
huh?
They have their hats on. I don't know if they're,
Throughout
they
the
have their hats on.
Well, they weren't specific what day, but I can go back and find out.
No, it is a problem.
Now, will the flagpole get painted?
I'm trying to get it painted. Did any volunteers to paint the flagpole downtown? It's only 40 feet tall.
Do you have to climb the flagpole?
I think my answer was to ask the fire company to help us with their new piece of equipment. Because I went down when I changed the flags, and it breaks and heads right towards Cooper's Hardware, or whatever it is now, you know? It breaks across the street, and that's a problem for me to bring it down. It's incredibly heavy, so I think it'd
We
really
can
be
block
better
the
to...
street while you do
I think
it.
it would be better to paint it in place. I really do.
Well,
Go up with the, you know,
Maryland Public Television will be here
do they paint?
for the reenactment. No, that it should be painted before they get here. And actually,
I know Jim wants to paint a flagpole.
let's have a paint party.
I can see Jim sitting on top.
We can have a paint party.
It'll be a miracle, but I'm going to try to do it, okay?
I
All
just
right.
happened to see a large expense for Sherwin-Williams on here for paint. I thought it was for the flagpole.
Oh, that's a good idea, get Mrs. Butler to do it. The butler did, then we could have a song said the butler did it.
All right, do you have anything else, Lynn?
Did you raise the 1812 flag on the Memorial Park?
Oh, yeah.
You weren't supposed to.
Yes, we discussed
Can you
that. It's
take
going
it-
to come back down.
Oh, okay, it's going to come down for the
we discussed
presentation of the colors, okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Sam?
Charlie Graves Day was a lot of fun. Great turnout. I just want to thank the CV Star Center, the Historical Society, Yerkes Construction. Gosh, there were a long list of sponsors, but they just did a bang-up job. Turnout was excellent. It was just a really fantastic event, and I certainly hope, I just want to echo you, Chris, that I hope to see it every year. There is a Washington Park meeting being planned. A couple of concerns that came up, speed bumps, so that's coming down the pipe for the residents of Washington Park. Of course, I'll give you a full update after that meeting happens, but and then also the basketball net in the back of the area as well needs to be refurbished. So those are just a couple of the main points that came up, but when we have that meeting, I'll be able to update you on the neighborhood's concerns. Other than that, though, things are good. All is well.
Marty?
Okay. Now that we have a little time, I'm going to spend, no, I'll try to keep it fairly short. I just want to talk a little bit about the storm. Most of the people in my area because we live up there in the clay, on a clay bank, got hit pretty hard. Most everybody had water in their basement or in their crawl space. I know I did. I took out over 100 gallons of water. I'm just glad that I was home at the time when the storm hit, so I could be down there vacuuming it up. And while I was vacuuming up, my neighbor came over and rang the doorbell to let me know that he was having problems with water and storage in his house. That's good, and I'm glad that he did that. Except that when he left, I'm down there vacuuming and the doggone doorbell would not stop ringing. It just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. My wife convinced me that I should stop vacuuming just long enough to disconnect the doorbell. So I don't know what that had to do with it. But I do want to compliment the town, though. The town crew was out and working in that storm, and that included our town manager. Our town manager came out from his home, who lives out in Quaker Neck in John's Country, and put his boots on and got his rake and come out and was cleaning out storm drains, which I think is beyond, I don't think that's in your work.
No.
It's in the fine print.
I did go out to look
All
at
other duties as
I
required.
will say this, I've been living in that house for 47 years, over 47 years. And I went out to clean the storm drain, which I do occasionally when there's a rain. And this is I thought it needed to be cleaning because I had a river running down there. I went out there and water was coming out of the storm drain because I live at the bottom of the hill and it was gushing up 8 or 10 inches. So
That was incredible.
when I stepped out the first time, I almost lost it. I almost ended up down in the river someplace. But I think the town crew deserves a lot of credit for the amount of work, and certainly in case of Bill's dedication when you come into town and start cleaning out drains. And finally, I got challenged in the ALS challenge, and so I did that today.
That must have been cold on your head.
Take your hearing aids out first.
I was not so concerned. I was not so concerned about the ice water. My concern was, how do I get it online? I'm a little bit electronically.
Do it again, I'll come take a picture of you.
So one of my daughters challenged me. So I came in and Jen and Bill helped me out. Jen did the filming and Bill was up on the second floor to drop the ice water.
Oh my gosh, from the second floor?
And you know, the funny part of it was,
Whatever, got to dump the water on it.
So where is it on
We
Facebook?
didn't videotape that part.
Is it on Facebook or where?
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
a half an hour after it was over, he was still smiling and he couldn't stop smiling. I don't know what that had something.
Are you going to challenge him now?
He already did.
Has this been posted online?
It is.
Where?
It's on Marty's Facebook.
It's on Facebook.
I will be visiting that tonight. Okay. Request
I actually have another announcement. The 400 block kids went to Six Flags, so our donation was put to very, very good use. And honestly, this has some really, really, I think, resonating effects for those kids. A lot of them, many have never been to an amusement park. So this was their first experience in an environment like that. And I was there for a few hours leading up to the Charlie Graves Day, and all the parents were just extremely pleased and very thankful and very grateful for the donation. So I actually have some pictures here that I can pass around, but they had a blast, and so I just want to thank the council again for approving that, that donation to the 400 block kids. And they're also having their cookout this weekend. So, and thank you, Liz, for the reminder there.
I'm planning on
during
going.
the afternoon, so there's
12 o'clock, right?
depending on who you ask.
Oh, well, that's what they said when they were here. I had put it in my calendar.
Yeah.
Thought it was a little ceremony that we're going to give out
Yeah,
certificates.
they're going to give out some certificates, and they're going to try and get a couple of those inflatable, bouncy things. But they're going to be honoring those kids Saturday afternoon.
So could you let me know the time? Cause
I can let you know the time. And so your attendance would be greatly appreciated. So yeah, that's my last minute addition there.
I want to elaborate on the Six Flags donation, because I felt like the Six Flags part of it was a cool carrot at the end of what the reason I voted for that is because it was funding. It was giving them motivation to keep in the program that they had set up to clean up their neighborhood every single week, which, you know, I just want to throw that out there because I didn't feel like I was funding a trip to Six Flags. I don't really think that's what government should fund, but we should fund programs like the cleanup program for those kids and get them invested in the community. So by providing that donation, it provided those kids with the motivation to stay in the program. And I thought it was a relatively small price to pay to reward that community for getting organized and getting all those kids involved especially. So just wanted to add that.
Great.
Do I get anything for cleaning out my storm?
You get to participate in the ice bucket dunk challenge. Okay, are there any questions or comments from the audience tonight? Yes.
Just for your information, I happened to be on the roundabout when a very large truck could not negotiate, and he was not going rapidly. I just think it's too much of a curve, and so he clambered over his left rear tires went over the
It's designed for that.
space.
When the top coat gets put on the roundabout, they're expected to ride on that.
That's what that's for.
That's what
it is?
they
That
can't
concrete,
possibly.
that's what that concrete's for, is for trucks.
Right now, there's a grade,
It'll
there's a
be
grade
easier
difference.
Because it looked awkward.
Yeah,
the way he went over.
There's another coat of asphalt to go in the final
That's what
coat.
Paul said.
It's
Okay.
engineered that way, yeah. Otherwise, a lot of trucks couldn't
But
get
still,
it.
that's why we haven't got 100% of people liking it yet. There's still that.
I think it's working well. I go around it a lot.
Gail still doesn't like it
No,
there.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
The
Well,
stop signs worked.
we didn't
Now, they don't
expect,
know
Gail,
what
we
to
didn't
do
expect to
with the
get you on
roundabout.
this.
They sit there sometimes 3 and 4 cars because they don't know when they're supposed to go.
That's when
There's
they
a
yield
car way
signs.
down there, they can see, they wait. It's
That's
horrible.
a-
Annapolis, you'll find out, they're just like a raceway.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's right through every day.
Okay, are there other questions?
late change.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Gail's
All those
like
in
that
favor?
farmer from Vermont, you know.
Any opposed?
Gail's like that farmer from.
Meeting is adjourned.
You never get to.
Liz, I CC'd you. I immediately went in there and I sent it.